Hey guys, this week we are mostly focusing on getting this kitchen cabinet, which you can't see because John has took it down the workshop, but this kitchen cabinet made for the van. It has been several days of headaches trying to get this right, lots of back and forth on designs, and as we've started to construct the cupboard John has started to construct the cupboard carcass, we've hit snags and had to pivot and change ideas and our plans for it. I did just come out and I was going to show you what we've done so far, but he appears to have taken it down the workshop, I think to add some plywood to it. So what the basic idea is on this side of the van there will be a kitchen area which will incorporate a sink with water, proper sink with drainage, and we'll have two water canisters underneath. One will be a large 25 litre canister for fresh water and one will be a 10 litre canister for grey water, and I will have a USB tap with water to my sink. Beside that we will have areas so that you can put a cook stove or a work surface, and below that will be a pull-out shelf as extra workspace. There will also be a flip up at the side later on, and there will also be drawers underneath that. So there's lots of different elements that need to go into creating this perfect cupboard, and it kind of all is based around the size of my worktop that I bought, which is actually a desktop from IKEA, and most importantly the size of my water containers that I'm going to be using. We've had to also work around things like the wheel arches. Fortunately on the Nissan NV200 the wheel arches are quite small. There is a cat behind me in here chewing a cardboard box, so apologies for that. It's quite small, it's only around 4 inches sticking into the van, but it does take up most of the length of this side of the van before you get to the sliding door. So there is always a bit of wheel arch at the bottom half of the cupboard all the way along. Say hello, hello. So this is the area we're working with. I will just open the sliding door. So my water containers that I will be using, like I said, this is I think it's a 9.5 litre, which I think is roughly 2 gallon for my grey water. And this 25 litre, which I think is around 5 or 6 gallon, will be my fresh water. Yes, it does need a clean and disinfect. It's been stored in the barn for a couple of years now, and I used to use it in our old caravan. We have also been kind of like building what will be, where the bed will be, kind of putting a, I don't know, construction in place to kind of get an idea of size in the van as well, which has been really helpful in finalising our decisions on this. So this is how far we've got so far with the framing, and it's been a pain in the backside. So we end up deciding to go with using pine framing and plywood for things like panels and drawers and such like. So when I want to put my water containers in, there will be a door on this end, and I can slide my fresh water bottle in to the centre, and the wastewater bottle will fit in here, and there will be a door on this end, and there will also be a door on the front, so there's access from both sides. There will also be a centre divider past the water containers, which John is currently working out and cutting around for the wheel arch. Okay, so the pine that's been used for the uprights here is, well, was originally 4x2, metric 4x2, so it's been cut in half and is now 45mm. It should be 45, yeah, 45 by 45 millimeters. Like it says, it was originally metric version of 4x2 lengths of wood. These narrower pieces, these narrow pieces were actually floorboarding, so they have ridges in them. Not a problem because the worktop is going on top of here and you won't see it, and you won't see from beneath because that's the smooth side. This is the underside of the floorboard, and John has just ran these down to 45s by 19mm, something like that. So the framework for this, John has mitered this top frame and made a bit of an unusual join here for the centre section where the wheel arch is. The joints in the bottom corners, they have been notched out for the side and front rail on all the bottom joints. At the sliding door, again, it's got the mited corners, and John has inserted a piece of plywood which he has notched the wood out for on these side uprights. This will be, we'll have brackets on this for a lift up shelf that'll extend my worktop across the opening of the van. Because the van narrows down a little bit at this doorway, this is why this back rail is kind of dog-legged, because we've had to bring this upright in towards the van to accommodate for that. But once all the plywood is attached, this will all be nice and strong. So size wise, the framework is 43 centimeters, 430 millimeters, or 17 inches deep. The cupboard itself will be, well, the worktop will be deeper because this doesn't go right up to the curvature of the van, and there will be plywood at the back of that. Height wise, we've got 25.5 inches, 646-ish millimeters in height, and there will be a 35 millimeter thick worktop going on top of this. It originally was going to be 2 inches higher than this, but once we set up this kind of temporary platform over here to sit on, to see what it would be like sitting on the bed, it just felt too high, like you'd be cooking on your stove at kind of eye level, so we brought it down a couple of inches. The cupboard width at this side between the uprights is just over 14 inches, 360 millimeters or thereabouts, and that gives me enough space to put my water containers in, but also to have my washing up bowl, which will be recessed into my worktop. And it still gives me, oh, we're gonna struggle to see across that distance. It gives me roughly 515 millimeters, or nearly 20 inches space for my shelves, not my shelves, my drawers for storage, like kitchen storage and food in there. It's not a lot of storage, I could do with more, but it is still a really tiny van, so we've got to make do with the space that we have in here. I will also have plenty of hanging storage things as well for lightweight stuff. Okay, so the drawer side of the cupboard now has the wheel arch boxed in. This box was originally covering the entire wheel arch, but this is only one half now, and it is in this side of the cupboard because at this side it wouldn't be enough room for my water containers. So it has been cut off and the wheel arch cut out for in the back plywood. We have back plywood fitted in, and this is going to be able to be removed from the van in one piece just by undoing a few bolts, so it can be taken out for moving large items in the van if needs be. We've had to add random bits of trim, and there'll be more going on to hide the gaps, just so that I don't get like dust or bugs in my drawers where my food and my pans and stuff are. All of this frame is fastened together, but there is some bits that are just dry fit. There's a piece of plywood that goes on this end part that fits in to recesses on the inside, and this is going to be painted, which is why it's not fitted in, so they can be painted separate, as it's going to be painted a different colour to the frame. We've used 18mm for this side panel. The rest has either been 6mm ply or this divider, which is 12mm ply. The 12mm ply is so that it can take the runners for the drawers. The 18mm ply is because I'm going to be having a drop leaf on this end on the outside, and we wanted extra support for the screws and for the weight. We've had to add some little angle noggins to support in these corners because there was very little holding it together at this end. So now it's up to me to get on with sanding all this up and getting some painting on. Any of the plywood that's on show will be painted the green to match the rest of the van, and the wood will be whitewashed the same as I did the roof because my worktop is going to be white oak, or white oak effect. So that is my kitchen cabinet finished and fitted in. It is fastened down to the floor and to the wall, although it can be taken back out with about 4 screws. I have magnet catchers on my doors, both the front door and the end door. I have a slide out, although I'm still waiting on the handle to arrive for that. So hopefully in the next week or so that should arrive, just a wee little pull handle. 3 nice good sized drawers for storage, and yeah, so now it's just waiting on finishing off my plumbing situation for the sink, which is now installed, and the lift up extendable lift up at the end of the other end of the cupboard as well. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye bye.